Okay, so here's our tutorial for the design quiz. We can see here that we do have a full bleed design, and as a reminder, you are going to be using your customized colors and trying to customize this as you can, but really the objective here is to come out of design quiz 4 with knowledge of design patterns, which we'll see in the swatches here, as well as customizing strokes. So that's what we have for this one. So let's take a look at this starting from the beginning. I think I'm going to do this with an artboard, but you would go to File and choose New, and you can see that this is a square, and I think it's about 12 by 12. I forget what the exact measurements are for the book, but that would be a good practice just to, oops, that's feet, maybe make this 11 by 11, and we can go from there. We do see that there are bleeds on this one, so we are going to increase the bleeds here. Usually 1/8 inch bleeds or 1/4 inch bleeds are pretty common. So I'm going to model a 1/4 inch bleed, and you'll see that all the way around. Usually when we're talking about bleeds, we are going to be printing, which pushes us to CMYK color. And we are pushing to 300 PPI or DPI, dots per inch, points per inch, which is effective for print production. Whereas screen production is here, and we are seeing more in the medium side for fast performing animations and whatnot. Okay, so I'm going to click create on this, and that would leave you with a artboard that looks like this. So we can see that happening over here. Okay, but just note that in order to start with this, I'm going to pretend that these are my colors. So let me just grab that color. Oops. And I'll create the background. And because it's 1/4 inch bleeds, I'm going to go all the way to the edge of that red and fill this. Let me slash that out. Okay, with my color. And I'm just going to, let me pop over here. I'm going to get rid of all of these so we can really focus on the swatches that we're creating. And I'm going to go with, I guess I'll do analogous for this. Okay, and let's say that this color, and this color are the 3 that I'm using. I'll junk this one and junk this one. So we have, yeah, it looks pretty similar to what they have here. Okay, so let me see if I can do this in a 2-up display here. Oh gosh, I miss Photoshop. That's fine. We'll tile it. There we go. Okay, so I just want to keep this open so that I can kind of refer to it and build it out myself. All right, so first things first, I'm going to want to make this this centralized one. So they used an H for this for honey.com, which was whatever they were working on for their piece. You can create a little logo here or whatever. Really, the main part is the circles. So I'll just kind of mimic what we have going on here, and I am going to lock out that background so I don't grab it accidentally. So I'll just put this as an H. And this isn't really the part that I care too much about. But I care enough not to have that font. Oh gosh, yuck. Never an easy. I'll just use this. This is fine for the purposes. I'll go ahead and outline this text. So type and create outlines, and then I can very easily center it within the artboard to be perfectly in the center. And then I can kind of work around that. This thing drives me nuts. So with that in mind, I'll just get to that center mark, hold down. Oh, I want to be creating a circle here. An ellipse. So I'm going to click and drag on that center, hold down Alt and Shift, and just make a perfect circle. And I'll release off that. I'll tap D to fill with default colors of white fill and 1 point black stroke. The fill is forward. I'm going to slash that out And then I'm going to start with this first section here. So this is really, it looks like the H is on top of everything. So this is a good place to use my layers to my advantage. And it looks like we have not a black stroke on that, but like a yellow. So I'm going to tap X to bring my stroke forward, fill that up with here, and just bump that up a bit. And I can do that inside or outside, depending on what I need. But now that I have that, I'm going to put them in this layer. I'll call this layer H. And now I can create everything in another layer that's definitely going to be pushed between those two. This is my background. Okay. So moving on from here, and I can lock that out too. Moving on from here, I'm going to do this. I guess I should work from the back up, and that's fine. These are going to be relatively straightforward to create. You can make a line with this or an arc with this, but I'm going to do that again from the center. Click and drag, Alt and Shift on this. Whoa. And it looks like we go right about there. Okay, so this one, I will put a different color stroke on that just so that we can see it. And I'll make it go in the middle. And I'm liking that 12 point. Maybe I'll go down to 10. So here's where we can get a little bit of some new tools. I'm also going to build out these circles here. So I'm just trying to get everything kind of good to go here. So from here, I'm just going to click and drag and hold down Shift and make that circle over there. And I'll make that come inside. And then I'll duplicate that over to here and duplicate them down. Okay, so we should have some pretty easy ways to work with that. Now these, I'll hide the background here for just a second. These have no fill, but I do want to fill them with this sort of this pattern. And then I do have these other little circles, which go here, and I'll just reduce that. So maybe something like that. I have to kind of make that perfect. Looks like it's touching both of these. There we go. And then same thing on the other side. I could make this, looks like it needs to touch on the edge there. Fine. And I'll move this out to here. Okay. And again, I'll just change that color. Maybe I'll just make that darker. And I'll flip those fills. And same thing here. So I'll just tap I and grab that. Okay, I probably should have just copied them over. That's fine. We could do this here. So I could select both of these. Control C, Control Shift and V to paste in place. Bring that all the way over. And then I could just probably rotate this. And I was holding Shift there as well. It's close enough, but I can, finalize that. And then same thing for the bottom. I could just grab all of these, duplicate them down, and then just rotate them. And it should be pretty darn close. Just trying to touch that up. I have some snapping on, which is getting annoying, so I have to get closer. You could turn that off as well. So it's under view, and smart guards is here, and then there's snapping down here. Okay. I probably should have done this on the first one and then just duplicated it around. But we could also Control C, Control Shift and V to paste in place. I'm going to hit Shift X on this to switch the color to the fill, and then just give that a different color here. There it is. And make that smaller. Thanks. We're just kind of mimicking that. And I'm going to grab the same background color. So I guess I'll do it like this. And then tap I and grab that. We could also punch this out as well, but that's fine. Whatever really works here. If I wanted this to be fluid with a lot of different colors and things like that, I would effectively cut it out. Okay, and then you can place that on each one of those. I want to do this little part right here. Okay, so I'll just take this one, duplicate it, Control C, Control Shift and V, and just Alt and Shift, and let that grow to hit each one of the circles. Okay, I'm just going to do this top one up here. Here's where we learn a new tool. So this is the scissor tool. So I'm going to tap the C key on my keyboard. It's behind the eraser. And here I can just basically cut and cut, which makes this line separate. So I'll delete that. And then I can either, right now it's the same color. So I could just fake that with grabbing this, tapping I on my keyboard, oopsies, and hitting Shift X and popping that up to 10, because that was the value that I used, right? And then we have effectively what you can do for that section. It looks like they do a little bit, something a little bit different, where they get the inside one to have, looks like this one has the outside color. So let me hit Shift X on that, bump that up to 10 or something equivalent. 10 might be a little much. And then there's an interior one as well. So this one has, I'll just tap I and grab this, but then bump this down. And then this one, I need a fill color on that, which I think should be this one. I think the 10 is too much. So we get something like that. So you can see here that I need to kind of clip this a little bit more. So that's fine. I'll tap C on that, flip it over the overlap, grab this bit and tap delete. Okay, and then it looks like we just need a different color on the inside of this. And then this one needs the inside color of the background. Okay. So that's how you can do the outside ring. And again, you could just do one and then duplicate it all the way around. For the pattern, let's move into that portion of our development here. So I'm going to create the pattern off here to the side. And as we look at this pattern, it's just a whole bunch of these like overlapping circles. So great, we can definitely do that. I'm going to do it right here. So I'll hit Shift to make a perfect circle. And then I'm just going to make another one, Control C, Control Shift and V to paste in place, make that smaller to get that sort of target look. Yeah, I think that's probably good. If I needed to fill that with these colors, that's fine too. And then I'm just going to, it looks like it's going off to this side, a little bit of an overlap there. So we could actually probably just do this with one. So I'll select one of these. So it's both those little objects. Let me delete these just to demonstrate this. Okay, and I'll go to Object, choose Pattern, and Make. Oh, sorry, that was really fast. Object, Pattern, and Make. It should say Make, but mine says Save a Copy. Okay, I do have my Pattern Options panel open here, but I'll go to Window and choose Pattern Options here, if you don't see that. So this can be helpful, the pattern options. You can see it working on the pattern right now. Okay. So you can, right now it's doing it as a grid. I could do brick, which probably is going to work for this, and try to do like something like this, right? You can see how these are going to change whatever it is you want. You can scale the tile to the artwork. You can do some overlapping processes here, and some of the other customization. Okay. If I wanted to change this, because you can see how like the overlap is happening here, I could take this and just going to duplicate this and push it over a bit. And it's giving you the idea of what the pattern looks like. So this kind of looks okay for what I'm going for, this overlapping piece here. And note how that's going to look different, wherever I move it. So maybe if I put it like that, we'll get a more holistic. I want to put that right on the center. Okay, so just taking whatever's inside of this blue square and making a pattern out of it. And I'm going to go ahead and say save a copy or done if I want to edit this existing one, or save a copy if I want to make a new pattern, because the pattern was already made through the first step, object pattern make. So I'll just say done to edit this existing pattern. And we'll see that the pattern is here, right? So it enters into our swatches panel as a pattern. So any shape can be filled with this as a stroke or as a fill. We're going to use it as a fill. So I'm going to take this shape, make sure the fill is forward and fill it with that pattern. And you can see here, this is super big, okay, which is fine. I can just double click on this again and then reduce the size if I want to. So in this case, maybe I'll put it down to like 0.2. Oh goodness. I think it might be the original scale. It's just too large. That's fine. I'll do it the right way, the first way. Because part of this is that it needs to go inside of there, and I made a duplicate, you know, so I'll just make this much smaller. And you can see that that's going to fill in right like that. Okay. And from here, I'll do object pattern make, and it's telling me that it's going to be added to the swatches panel. And I say, okay. And again, I'll just flick this over. Oopsies. Maybe make a duplicate of this, just like I did in the last one. And you can name your pattern too. So this, I'll just call this small target. Okay, and say done to accept that. And now I have two. Okay, the other one's bigger. So this one gets me a little bit closer to what I was trying to go for. So you can see where this can be really, really impactful to very quickly iterate off of a single shape and make something that looks a lot more complex. Okay, and we can see that with any one of these. Like this is a pattern where you just make waves there. Okay, so you could actually physically draw this. So I'll just use the blob brush on this, and I'll use my my stylus here to just do something like this, right, or whatever I want. And I can take that, all three of those, and object pattern make. Okay, it's telling me it's going to put it in there. This is what the pattern will look like, right, in a 5x5. So I could tell it to do this. I could hex it by row, right? Brick, grid. I kind of like one of these. Right, and you can always edit it. So if I want to move this one over, or rotate it, or scale it, right? You can do a lot with this idea. Okay, or delete it, or change the color, or whatever. Okay, so I'll click done to accept that. And notice how the original ones were not changed, which is important to understand. Okay, so that would be another circle that I could layer appropriately. Oops, if I was on the right layer, that would be helpful. So that one looks like it's here. So I'll just fill that in with that. And again, I could adjust that. This one in the H, I'm going to fill with that background color and then make sure the H is on top. So this will allow me to make sure that I don't have to cut the things, which is kind of nice. And I'll put that color on the outside, which is this. I don't think I saved this one. Let me just drag that down. So that's our stroke on this one. And I can pop that up to, I think I was using 10. So it's consistent down the line. I'll make another one. So I'll just copy this one. So Control C, Control Shift and V to paste in place. I'll scale that by holding down Alt and Shift and dragging that out. And here you can see that this is going to be used for this blank color here. So I'll just slash, well, actually, I'll just fill it with that color and just make sure that it's behind. So I'll hit, I have to watch my fingers do it. Control Shift and the left bracket key, and that's going to push it all the way to the back of this layer. Let me close this. Okay, so layering is going to be really helpful here. So now I just want to do this text. So if you need like a bigger area for the text, you can always work with that. But I'm actually going to write it directly onto this line. Or you know what, I'm just going to create another one. So I'll hit Control C, Control Shift and V to paste in place. And I'm going to slice that in the middle and just slash this out. Okay, I'll make this some strange color so we can see this. Shift X on that to switch it, and then slash out the E fill. Not nearly strange enough. Whoopsies. Okay, so this green color. So what I'm going to do here is use this as the base of my text. So I'll use the text tool. I'll click it right over here. So notice here, that the text controller has this circle, which means it's going to go inside the shape. Oh, I need to clip it first, sorry. Let me use my scissor tool, and I'm just going to cut it in half. So I'm going to cut right here and cut right here. So now this is a line, right? So this is the shape all by itself. I'll color that one blue, just so we can see that. So now that it's an open shape, I'll tap T for my text tool. And now when I hover over that, notice how there's like a little diagonal line on it. Okay, so if I click right here, it's going to start the text right there. And it's going to wrap it around here. So this one is supposed to say honey.com. It would help if my text is actually going to do that. It's obviously enormous. So let me hit Control A to highlight all. Go into the text here, hold down Shift and hit the down arrow. So I'm just trying to make it a good size. Maybe around 50 will work for me. And it's obviously not in the right spot, but I can come up here to type. Choose, where is it here? Type on a path and choose the path options. And I'm going to go ahead and preview this so I can actually see what the heck is going on. The effect that I have is rainbow, which means it's going to use that bottom curve as the base and kind of rainbow up. If I skew it, it's going to go along the line and just kind of look stupid. So don't use that one. 3D ribbon also looks stupid. We have stair step that looks stupid. And then we have gravity. So most of the time you're going to be using rainbow on this. And then from here, we can change how that line is treated for the text. So if you choose a sender, notice how it's going below the line. It's treating that as the top line. The descender, right, which is the default is baseline. So notice how the Y goes underneath the baseline, whereas descender, it's going to be the base of the longest character. I'm going to use center on this one so that it goes directly in the center, because that's kind of where I placed this to begin with. You could also flip this, which is helpful to know. Okay. The other thing that I want to do here is kind of shift this over. And of course we can, go here and hit the space bar and get it to where we want to. But we should also be able to do this within the direct selection tool. So if I go in, of course, this green is not very helpful. So let me just grab this and change this over to maybe a dark blue so we can see that better. Yeah, there we go. So if I use my direct selection on this, notice these vertical lines. This is going to be the center. So this is a left aligned text box. So I could do center align and I would see it here, and right align and I would see it here. Okay, but I can also hover over any one of these, usually this one because it's the left align, and move that and drag it. So if I wanted it to be like the full rainbow effect, right? And then I could put this in the center. I could do it like that. Or I could have it be to the left and then just drag it to wherever I want. This isn't really good for customization. Like if I was trying to sell this, for lots of different labels or whatever, then I would likely want to put it in the center because this is still text that I can edit. So I can come in here and put, maybe this is, I don't know, for a soda company. So, right, we can edit that and it's going to be perfect for everybody. And of course, I'm just going to jump this down. It's a little bit too broad there. And maybe I would use a thicker font. Okay, so same thing for the bottom. I'm just going to go a little bit faster on this one. So with it selected, I'll tap T to get the text tool. This time I will do it in the correct format and try to push it all the way to the edge here. And it looks like it has the little tagline. So the best extension for saving money. And it looks like it's trying to go in the opposite direction here, which is fine. I'll take type and choose. Let me first try to get it. Nope, it doesn't want to do it. I think I just need to reverse it here. No. Okay, let me undo that. I think I just clicked it in the wrong spot. I'll just try to click it in the middle. Oh yeah, because it's upside down, I forgot. So I would have to do it over here and do the same thing. So the best extension for saving money. And again, I'll select all of that, maybe not make it bold. I'll go here and make it slightly smaller because this is the tagline. Okay, so this is where we could take the type on a path. Oops. Okay, and then just preview this. I'm going to flip it and push it to the ascender. So it feels like it's like inside of that, or it still would work on the center. I actually think that looks better. And I'll click OK on that. Okay, so now we have that moving, and of course this is still a path, so I could adjust this as much as I want. I'm trying to keep this circular, but I could tap A on this, grab that, and move that around. Oh, can't quite. Let me just move that up a little bit so I can access the point. So I can move this, and it's going to go with that shape. Okay, and then same thing. Of course, I don't necessarily want to do that for this one, but in some cases it might be best to like pull that in a little bit so that it feels like it's kind of resting a little bit more if needed. Okay, the next one in the line here is just that same pattern that we used before. So I feel like I went a little bit too big with some of these widths. They're taking up a lot of space. So I might go back and just adjust those. I think I started too big. That's fine. So just make that slightly smaller. Cool. So then the next one, Control C, Control Shift V, and I'm just going to push that to be behind. So I could hit Control and the left bracket key and push that back until I'm happy with it, or just do it here. I encourage you to build from the back to the front. It's just like a little bit easier. And then this is going to be filled with that same, oopsies, it's this one. This one looks like it just needs to get cut out a little bit, and I do need to go behind the duplicate here. Where did that go? Oh, there it goes. Yeah, so this actually worked out because I put it behind this one that has a solid piece. But if I needed to, I could also just Control C, Control Shift and V to paste in place. Move that down a little bit. Let me hide the other ones. I'll just create a new layer here and pull them up to that and hide this for a second. And let me go ahead and just fill that with the default colors of white fill and 1-point black stroke. Would help if I had the right ones selected here. Yeah, so that's the little one. So I'll tap D on that and bring that on top so you can see it. So here, the background I'm going to lock. I'm just going to grab these two. I could use my Pathfinder for this and just punch out the front, and then it's just going to be that donut shape. Okay, so you could do that as well if you didn't have the right setup for the other one. This one just has to go below, and we're good to go. Next up, we actually see something that's a little bit different. So you can see on this one, it's a shape, and then it has a like this slash on it. And I'll do this with the triangle so you can see this pretty easily. So same thing here, we're going to create effectively a pattern brush. So I'm going to go over to the polygon tool, and I'll do this in a new layer that is below everything. And I'll just start to create the shape and then hit the down arrow key until I get to the triangle and hold down Shift so that it is the perfectly vertical triangle. And you can see that it's not like that equilateral triangle, so I do need to make it a little bit more narrow. And I'll go ahead and hit Shift X on this to make it black fill with 1-point white stroke. Tap X to bring the stroke forward, and then use the forward slash, which shares a key with the question mark, to slash out that color. And then I'll go back to the fill. Jumping over to my direct selection tool, I'll click and drag and grab these two. Tap S to scale them, and then just click and drag and make them a bit smaller. And that's pretty much it. That's all I really need. I think it's a little bit tall, so let me just bring that down. And again, if I need to scale them, I'll tap A, grab them, S, scale. So next thing is to actually make a stroke out of this. And I'll go ahead and make my circle now so we can see how this is actually working. So put it in the center of that object, row it out here. And let me go ahead and just put a D on that, slash out the white, and tap X to bring the stroke forward and push that stroke up pretty significantly so we can see this. Okay, so with that object selected, actually with this object selected, I'm going to come up here to the stroke. And here we can see if I were to add the jean stroke, the denim stroke, which is just used so often, we can see that it is customizing that stroke. That's not what we want, obviously. So let me go ahead and put that back to the basic. What I'm trying to do here is add a new stroke. And actually, I don't want there to be a fill on this at all. So I'm going to go down here to the plus icon. And it's going to say, hey, you want to add a new brush, which is going to be treated as a stroke. I'm like, yep, I sure do. I'm going to choose a pattern brush for this. I'm going to click OK. And it's going to give me this pattern brush options, which I could name this triangle stroke or something like that. And I can change things about this and do whatever I want. Okay. So now it comes up as a new triangle stroke for me. And I can use this on my object. So I'm going to grab my circle here and just switch its stroke over to the triangles. We can see this triangle is like enormous, which is fine. We should be able to reduce that here. Right, so this is at 0.25. And very quickly I can get that very robust look with just a triangle and customizing a stroke. And again, this was because it was so big, right? So if I wanted to do this actually correctly, I would want to make it the size and then create the stroke. So you can do the same thing with the vertical stroke here. That one's a little bit tougher because it is, if you just do a line like this, what is happening? Oh my goodness. So I'll try to do this with, let's do it a little bit more customized with the blob brush. So you don't have to do geometric shapes with this. So we could do something like this, and it's a little bit more hand drawn. I think for this one, it does look better with the geometric. So you can just draw this and tap D and bump that up a bit. And I'll tap A and hypothetically grab that and just nudge that up. Okay, so we can do this again, right, where we add in a new stroke. And again, it's a pattern brush. But here we're going to actually, you can see that it looks really, really chunky right down here. So you can add a little bit of space to this. So let's put in like 15 and see what that does. Looks like it needs a lot more. There's 50. I'm going to put in 500. Right, so you can see that you can adjust this value. Probably 120 is going to work for me. And I'll click OK here. And now I can do the same thing. So I'll just take this same brush or object, Control-C, Control-Shift-V, move this down. And instead of the triangles, I'll push on this one. This one is pretty small. So I could bring that up to whatever I'd like. And then you can see that there's just lines in between. So you can just make, a line, a stroke color to fill that in. Okay, and I think that pretty much covers all of them. Yeah, everything else is just repetition at that point. But very quickly, we can get to a very robust design using some of these circles. We use the scissor tool, okay, to kind of cut some of these things and make them a little bit more designed for us. Definitely using the pattern right in here, but also the new pattern brush that we defined and designed up here.